It's Tuesday, January 8th, 2019, and I'm your host, Paula Hersey. On Barnstable Today, we talk to Barnstable Police Chief Sonneman, get a legislative update from Representative Will Crocker, and discover the blue economy opportunities for high school students. First up, municipal news and notes. On January 7th, the Barnstable police detectives and patrol officers arrested 24-year-old Nicholas Tewato of Hyannis after a months-long investigation into over 30 incidents of tagging. The graffiti was unique, with the signature BLSD in each of the incidents. Tewato was identified as a suspect and taken into custody on a warrant. A search warrant was executed at Tewato's home, revealed nearly 100 cans of brightly colored spray paint, specialty painting nozzles, and sketch pads outlining his work. This investigation is ongoing, and the Barnstable Police are asking anyone who has been a victim of spray paint graffiti, especially if the graffiti involves the tag BLSD, to please contact Detective Kevin Connolly at connollyk@barnstablepolice.com. What do some police officers do when they retire? Chief Sonneman explains what a special police officer can do, and the important work they do in our community. Welcome back to the studio, Chief Sonneman.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. If you get rid of these cookies underneath your table, I wouldn't keep coming back.
See? Donuts.
You feed them, they'll come back. You know?
Right, exactly. So you've had a special retirement just happening this past week.
Yep.
Jack Corbett has been with the town for 47 years.
47 years, since 1971. Can you imagine that? That's an amazing time length to be in any career, but
right.
To be here for 47 years in the town with the DPW and then 34 years with the police department it's an exceptional track record. Jack's an amazing guy. Managed to get through all this, was still having a smile and a good attitude and everything, and he's really a big part of the department. You know, right. We're gonna miss him, and I appreciate it. And Jack, thanks for all your help and for all your service over the years. I appreciate it. But it's, you know, I don't know what to say. The third was his last actual midnight shift.
Okay.
So we got together. We said something to him that night with the shift and among the officers. But on the 11th at 10 a.m. at the police department, if anybody is the official retirement send-off goodbye. So if anybody's around, knows Jack, wants to come by, shake his hand, and say thank you and congratulations, please feel free to come on by.
And that's at the station?
Friday the 10th, Friday the 11th at 10 at the BPD, yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
And it seems like he just turned right around and became a special officer.
Yep.
We had a group of retired officers that showed up in the town clerk's office to get sworn in as special officers.
Yep.
What are special officers?
Special officers are officers, there's been state legislations passed, they can continue to work in a capacity doing like details. They can, if we need them for like a public event or something, we can get a hold of them and bring them in. But they have to still attend on their own, at their own expense. They have to attend yearly in service, just like a regular officer that works full time. They also have to be cleared medically by their doctor. They have to maintain their firearms proficiency. They have to meet all the standards that a regular officer meets, but it's out of their own pocket. So they're paid for all that. The only thing, we don't pay them directly or anything. They're basically like a private contractor kind of thing, but they're allowed to work details, but they're not really an employee of the town anymore, but they are a sworn special officer, so if something really happens, an emergency, we can call upon them in our time of need.
Right. And then, again, also these details, that helps the department, sometimes stretch thin with vacations and stuff. You have people you can draw on for those traffic details as well.
Yep, we get people that are available, and that's not just us, it's a commodity that other towns can use as well. They're short, they can give us a call, and we can send people over. Yeah, so it's like we kind of work intercooperatively with the other town agencies and try and get some of those things filled. But yeah, here in town, come springtime, there's going to be a lot of road work going on. There's some now, but in the springtime, it's going to be a lot more going on, and you can't fill them all. You can't get all this work done, and traffic still has to go.
Yeah, exactly.
People still got to get to work, so
exactly.
Can't call and say, "Well, I can't get to work." There's no.
Some days we wish that, but
yeah, I wish. Yeah.
And there were 5 officers. Were they all from The Barnstable Police Department?
Yep,
that
they're
was
all from the
sworn in?
Barnstable Police Department
Okay.
who have recently retired or have retired within the last couple of years. But every year they have to come in, they have to get re-sworn in, they have to show that they've met the standards, they have to show that they've kept up their accreditation and all that other stuff. And once they do that, the town clerk swears them in again. So it's an annual swearing in. So it's not like something it's done once and then
Right.
goes until whatever. It only goes for 1 year, and then at the end of the year, they have to reapply, and then if they met the standard, then they can do it again for another year. But it only allows, they're only allowed to do it for a certain number of years. They can't just do it forever. Yeah. So I think age 70 is the cutoff, absolute cutoff. Most of them don't go that far, but.
Okay. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
And you've got an event tomorrow morning at the, most of the day, I guess, at the police station. Everybody going to roll up their sleeve and give some blood?
Give blood. That's, honestly, if you do have the opportunity and you can give blood, there are a variety of reasons people can't, but if you can give blood, please come by the Barnstable Police Department, right out in the front lot. The mobile the mobile blood mobile will be set up out there. You can stop in, give your donation, and move on with the rest of your day, and maybe even give you a cookie.
Yeah, and then we'll see you there, won't we?
Well, it's kind of a lot for a cookie, but
a lot for a cookie. So 10 to 4, the Barnstable PD lot, the Cape Cod Healthcare. So
Cape
this
Cod
blood
Healthcare.
that you do give at that mobile blood
Stays
mobile
local.
stays here locally. Excellent.
Give blood local.
Thank you.
Yes.
Excellent. Thanks, Chief.
You're welcome.
The 160-member House of Representatives has been sworn in, and Beacon Hill is ready to start a new year. Representative Will Crocker is eager to get to work. Beacon Hill is back open for business. With me today, Representative Will Crocker. Will, last week, swearing in.
Absolutely, sworn in for my second 2-year term as the state representative for the 2nd Barnstable District. Very happy to do it, and very happy to be back.
Excellent. The governor was sworn in as well, so.
He was sworn in the day after we were, and then there were the inaugural activities, the inaugural balls, and all that sort of stuff. So it was great. It was great, and the governor did something that he hadn't done before, in that he was having festivities in Boston, and then the day after that, he was out in the western part of the state and the central part of the state. So not everybody had to come in to Boston from, places like North Adams and out that way. They had activities out there.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's really great. So you're back to work. Committee assignments, I'm sure, are going to be coming. So there's really nothing at this point in time that you're involved in. But you have some ideas for work going ahead.
Yeah, we have to get our bills for the next 2 years into line into what we call laws, which is the portal that the bills go through and they get assigned to committees, which have yet to be assigned.
Right.
But we have to have our bills done by the 18th of January. So we have basically 16 days to get them all done, and that will be all of the action that we'll be doing for the next 2 years. There'll be probably in the vicinity of 5,000 bills filed in the next 3 weeks.
My goodness. So let's walk as a civics educator, let's walk the viewer through how this bill process works. Is it one person who files the bill, or do you do it with another representative? How does that work?
There, maybe longer than we have, but
Okay.
It's the individual state reps or the state senators will file their bills, obviously, in their specific chambers, and then what we have done, and what a lot of people do, if they're technical bills, we will run them through the House Counsel just to get the correct wording down. We're working on a couple of specifics that are a little complicated, and we had to run through House Counsel just to make sure how they would be with the other Mass General laws. Are they a revision? Are they an addition? That sort of thing. Now, once we've got the language set with House Counsel, then we will file it. And again, it has to be filed between now and the 18th of January. And then they will be assigned to various committees. And then they will be brought up for testimony within the committees, just like it has been for the last 300 years or so. And,
right.
and then the whole process starts all over again, basically.
Right. And some of these bills, obviously, are ideas from your constituencies, I'm sure.
Very much so. One of the ones that I'm working on specifically has to do with police canines. And with the result of the tragedy with Sergeant Gannon and with Nero, one thing that was brought to our attention after things had kind of settled down a little bit was the fact that the canine, who is an officer technically with the police department, because when Nero was shot, he was not allowed to be treated by EMTs who were standing there watching. So what the EMTs have asked us and what the veterinarians have asked us to do is to file legislation to allow a police canine, who is a police officer, to be able to be treated and transported by emergency medical services technicians. Right. So what happened when Nero was shot was that because it's unlawful, they had to basically bandage him up, the police officers bandaged him up, and then put him in the back of a police cruiser to take him to a veterinarian. Now, under the legislation that we're going to propose, EMTs or paramedics will be allowed to treat, stabilize, and transport the canine officer as if he were a human.
Wow, that's an amazing, I hadn't realized that they weren't allowed to do that.
Only a few states allow it, actually.
Right.
We're working off of some legislation that had been successfully filed and is now law in places like Mississippi, Pennsylvania, Ohio. Those are states that allow it, and we're working out the details on that language now with House Counsel.
Excellent. And what other issues will you be working on this year?
Well, I want to take across the finish line something that I started in my first term, which is a permanent funding source for opiate prevention programs in schools and nonprofits. That's something that we're continuing to work out the language with House Counsel. Hope to be able to get across the finish line this year.
Excellent. Anything you want to tell the constituency out there in TV land?
Well, still have my office hours.
Yep.
It's always the first Friday of every month, and it happens between noon and 1:30 upstairs in the third floor conference room up next to Planning and Economic Development up there.
Excellent. Fantastic. Thanks so much for joining us, Will.
Absolutely. Love to do it.
Waterworks is a hands-on career day connecting high school students to the blue economy career opportunities in our region. At Waterworks, college-bound, certificate-bound, and workforce-bound high school students will experience firsthand the many blue economy jobs and career paths available to them through demonstrations, exhibits, interactive displays, and hands-on activities. Organizers Bridget Berger and Bert Jackson join us to explore all the possibilities. What is this blue economy and Waterworks? With me today, Bridget Berger from the Cape Cod Regional STEM Network and Bert Jackson, the Community Engagement Director for the Blue Economy Foundation with the Cape Cod Chamber. Waterworks, blue economy, everything seems to revolve around water here on Cape Cod. What are we talking about today? Bridget, tell us a little bit about the STEM Network and what you do there.
Sure. Well, the STEM Network is housed at Cape Cod Community College. We're an initiative of the Department of Higher Education, and I'm the director. We operate through K through 12 schools, and also at the college, building the pipeline for interest in STEM education and careers across the Cape and Islands.
Okay, and STEM education, science, technology, engineering, and math.
Correct, yes.
Excellent.
Correct.
And the blue economy, that's it's now making international waves, per se. So tell us a little bit about the Blue Economy Initiative here on Cape Cod, Bert.
Well, the blue economy has always been a part of Cape Cod. You know, from going back to some of the first settlers here, they relied on the waters around us to help sustain them. So we're looking backward and we're looking forward with the blue economy. So we're looking back at some of the traditions that we have here, but we're looking at how can we leverage those traditions to build a sustainable future for us and for those generations that are coming after us. And there's so much culture of blue around what happens here in the water, and we want to be looking at leveraging that, providing sustainable year-round opportunities for people, whether they be entrepreneurs, whether they be people working in water-related industries, and at the same time understanding that the environment is our economy. So we're not advocating for offshore drilling or something like that. We're advocating for industries that are going to be complementary to the environment and enhance the environment and help preserve that critical part of our infrastructure here.
And that circles right back to Waterworks, an event held at the college.
Yes.
And this, it's fascinating. High school students invited only through their schools. Tell us a little bit about how Waterworks happened.
So it came about as a collaboration between the Blue Economy Foundation and the Cape Cod Regional STEM Network. And Bert and Chris Adams and I kind of visioned this up as what an amazing opportunity this would be for that next generation to gain that exposure to what is here and what is coming in terms of the careers. And so many of them are based in STEM that it was a natural fit. So, you know, the idea is that students can't, they don't know what they don't know. If they are not exposed to these types of careers through an event like this, they may never know what's out there for them. And because they have their future ahead of them, they have time to plan for an education that prepares them for these careers. So that's our goal for this event, is that students would come to this event and engage with the more than 50 employers that we have coming to the event. We have 350 students lined up, 50 employers, 4 different buildings, and lots of engaging hands-on exhibits where these students will come and learn what these professionals are doing in their careers and how they got there, so that the students can start to plan and start to think about, you know, what courses they might want to take in high school that lines them up for a degree in college or a trade and working directly in the workforce in the blue economy in our region.
So this event, it's interesting to me. Full disclosure, was the Tech Council president for a few years, and we've always found events like this where the kids, when they come in, said, "I had no idea that this company was here on Cape Cod." 50 companies already working in this industry, you know, surrounding water. Built. How are they coming together, Bert? You're actually calling them up and saying, "Do you need employees?" How's that work?
That's pretty much what's happening. It's been a lot of groundwork.
Right.
You know, we have, you know, with the Blue Economy Foundation and the project that preceded it, you know, we have done a lot of outreach and identifying, you know, the companies that are here. I mean, there's hundreds of companies and organizations that what we would call are part of the deep blue economy that are really in deep in the water. And so we've been reaching out to them and getting them involved, and certainly especially in these times with low unemployment rates, you know, companies are challenged, you know, bringing employees in. And so they're starting to take more of the long view. So they're looking to see, you know, if you're a hydroid or a Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution or somebody who's in a fishing or aquaculture related industry, you know, you're looking ahead to see, you know, in 5 years, you know, these juniors and seniors who are going to be coming to this event, these are the students who are these are the people that we're going to be hiring. And we want to set them up, and we want them to, even if they go away to school, we want them to come back here and participate in our economy here.
Right. And let's talk a little bit about some of these industries. You know, we throw that word industry around, but there's ROVs, remote operated vehicles, underwater vehicles. Aquaculture has exploded with being able to maybe handle some of the nitrogen in the water. We have issues with our water, so there's research and development. Give us a sense of some of the companies that'll be there.
Yeah, so we have a few general categories. We have marine engineering, we have marine science, we have aquaculture, marine trades,
Marine construction.
marine construction. So we have companies like Hydroid, McLean Research Labs, Teledyne Benthos, MBL, Hui. They're all attending. They all have a booth or more than one. We have the Coast Guard coming. We have a wide range and a great depth of variety for these students to gain that exposure.
Right. And let's talk a little bit about some of the schooling that they need. You know, we always think that maybe these industries take masters and doctorates, but not necessarily, right?
Not at all.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's our hope, is that with that engagement with the students, those professionals will share, and that's what we've asked them to do, is share your career path, share how you got to where you are in that position. So those engineers, those technicians, those scientists will be sharing one-on-one. That's our goal with the students, and then that's our hope for the event.
Do you have any indication of what the high schools, so 350 students, that's a chunk of kids coming to the college.
It is, yes.
The high schools, what was their response to this type of event? It seemed like it was a little overwhelming with 350 kids, right?
We had to turn high schools away. We
Yes.
actually couldn't
Yes.
Wow.
accommodate. Yeah, the
Right.
interest from the high schools was tremendous.
Okay.
And I would say the same for the exhibitors because we're now at capacity. We really couldn't fit any more in at this point. So, I mean, the response to this was huge. And we're really, in terms of promoting the college and the programs that we support toward these pathways, we're really excited because the college offers so many of the programs that students might want to take the next steps toward. So I just think everyone is really excited for this event.
Right,
It's
yes.
looking to be really a
I wanna
wonderful
go.
event. You should go.
And we have some speakers lined up for the beginning and end of the day. And maybe you can address who some. I know we've got Fran McDonald,
Yeah,
Admiral Fran
Admiral
McDonald
McDonald
from
from
the Mass
Mass
Maritime.
Maritime.
Oh my goodness, excellent.
Yes.
Yeah, we have a teacher coming from Barnstable High School who's done a lot of work on the whale watch boats and is going to speak about her experience there. We have, and we're actually confirming a keynote, so
Okay.
we haven't gotten
Senator
that
Sear plans to
confirmation,
be
but
there,
Senator
yes.
Sear will
Mm-hmm.
speak, the president, Dr. John Cox will speak, the president of Four Seas, but mostly it's about exploring those careers with that engagement at these exhibits. We're really fortunate that we were able to sponsor it. The Blue Economy Foundation was able to also co-sponsor this,
Right.
and we have several key sponsors that have
Certainly,
enabled this
yes.
event.
Yeah.
So
Vineyard Wind was one of our premier sponsors. For
Right,
this.
I was
so
actually
we certainly
going to say
thank
that.
them.
Right.
Thank
Yeah.
them for that.
But,
yes.
but you know, again, this is such a broad scope of how you can sustain well-paying jobs here on Cape Cod. That there's this resurgence of, I guess, hope that we could have sustainable jobs that draw young people back to the Cape
Yeah.
after their college career.
yeah, and it's also about the innovation because yes, the jobs that are here now, we can see them, but what we can't see are 5 years or 10 years down the road, what those jobs will be. So what we really need are those students with that innovation mindset to see the Cape as
Exactly.
a place where they can come home to. And, you know, I grew up here and I returned home, and I'm so glad that I did, but I understand that those jobs are few and far between. So what it takes is that innovation mindset. So a lot of what we try to do at the STEM Network and what STEM education does in general is build those problem-solving skills, those thinking skills, those innovation skills. And so at the high schools, there are many great examples, both at the tech schools and the public schools, of programs where the schools and the administrators are looking to those types of project-based learning. Project Lead the Way comes to mind with their engineering and computer science tracks. There are just really great things happening in education right now. To answer your earlier question of how would a high school student, you know, where would they
Right.
go from Waterworks? Well, they could make that choice to take one of those tracks back in their school. So I think it's a great time. The timing is right for an event like this.
What's a final thought that you have for the day? I mean, you know, it's 350 kids, all sorts of cool stuff. I mean, I've seen some of the exhibits that these guys bring, and these kids, their eyes are just going to bug right out
Yeah.
of their head. They're really cool stuff out there. What do you hope comes from this event, Bert?
Well, first of all, I think, and Bridget, I think you would agree with me, is that, you know, as we've gotten closer to the event, we're seeing more and more interest in it. And, you know, now we're having to turn students away, now we're having to turn exhibitors away. So there'll be next year. To be thinking about next year, we're certainly already thinking about next year. We're going to be looking forward to lessons learned from this event, and to see how we can you know, accommodate more, you know, in the future, because I think that's important. You know, 350 students is a fraction of the number of high school students that are in our region, which includes not only Cape Cod proper, Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard, and Southern Plymouth County. That's part of the Blue Economy Study region. So, how do we accommodate more for next time, and then what kind of programs could there be in place after Waterworks to help keep those connections going? I think that's a big role for the Blue Economy Foundation and the STEM Network, is to see how we can facilitate those connections.
Excellent. Well, you're facilitating excitement in industry that is, I don't want to say new, because like you said, it's old. It's been around for a really long time. But the innovation of what Cape Cod can be with the Blue Economy. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks so much
Thanks
for
so
having
much
us.
for having us, Paula.
Here is a look at things to do, places to go, and people to meet. Did you know that about 1/3 of all people with diabetes do not know they have the disease, and that type 2 diabetes often does not have any symptoms? Good control of diabetes significantly reduces the risk of developing complications and prevents complications from getting worse. Now's the time to pick up healthy cooking ideas, which will allow you to both enjoy food and control diabetes at the Health Talk on Diabetes, Eating Properly and Controlling Sugar, Wednesday, January 9th, 10 to 11 a.m. Call the Senior Center today to reserve your seat, 508-862-4750. Here's a look at the upcoming meetings for boards, commissions, and committees. Comments, suggestions, accolades? Connect with us on Facebook and Instagram, email us, or send us an old-fashioned note by carrier pigeon. Channel 18 works for you. I'm Paula Hersey, and thank you for watching Barnstable Today.